Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to start a dark academia reading vlog. I have quite a few dark academia books on my TBR. I want to share all of them with you, and then I will read some from this stack and this vlog, and I might possibly do a part 2 if you're interested in that. Also, if you haven't checked it out yet, I did post a short books vlog, and I do plan to continue with that series, but I also wanted to do this one. So that's what we're here to do. All right, let's go ahead and go through the books, and then I'll let you know which book I'm starting with. Okay. First up is What Happens After Midnight by 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒂𝒔. This is a YA academia book about Lily Hopper, who is living at this boarding school. Her mom is also a teacher. She's pretty much like the goody two-shoes of like her friend group, and she gets invited to pull a prank, the senior prank, with the jester, who each year is selected by the previous year's jester. So she gets an invite in her mailbox, and she has to decide whether she wants to do it or not. And this is the book. So yes, this is the first book on the TBR. The next book on the TBR is actually a recommendation from one of you. You told me to check out Tell Us No Lies and We'll Never Tell Lies by Sienna Sterling. So I picked this up off of Pango Books. I don't know too much about it. I heard you say that this was your favorite dark academia, so I picked it up. And then I have some other ones just from my own research that I found. I also got this one from Pango, The Truants by Kate Weinberg. I love this cover so much. Next up, like I said, I'm doing like academia. So this kind of falls into that category in my opinion, and it's All's Well by Mona Awad. Next up is The Fortunate Ones by Ed Tarkington. Next up is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. And then I have two powerhouses that I need to get to. Babel by R.F. Kuang and Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. But once again, these are the books that I am hoping to read, so I can do a dark academia recommendation on my podcast. I do have some other ones that I've already read, but these are the ones that I still have to get through. So yeah, so I need to read some of these, and I wanted to take you along for that reading journey. I finished the first book, What Happens After Midnight, and if you don't know, maybe you'll be more familiar with this one. I read this during Suns Out Books Out, and I rated it 3 stars. I'm also rating this one 3 stars. It had the potential to be a 4, and if I did half-star ratings, it would probably be a 3.5. I really liked the game scavenger hunt gesture thing, but the ending kind of drug out a little bit and focused on other aspects of the characters and their relationships. So I definitely recommend this if you enjoyed this one, and I did enjoy this one a little bit more. So those are my thoughts on this one. Let's decide what we're gonna read next. All right, next up we're gonna read Tell Us No Secrets by Sienna Sterling, which is this one. A shocking murder leads to a web of secrets and lies in a New England boarding school. Yes. I'm about to start Tell Us No Secrets, but I found another book I wanted to add to my dark academia stack, and that is Portrait of a Thief by Grace DeLee. And this is about a Harvard student that like helps track down some art. One more I might throw in is I have some questions for you. Which is about a podcaster and film professor. All right, I've been reading this and enjoying it so far. I'm currently on page 38, so I've read a little bit. Good morning. I'm back at my desk. I'm doing more diamond painting, and I'm also continuing in Tell Us No Secrets. This one is told in multiple points of view. It's set in like the class of 1970, like at this boarding school. Oh, and it's also like 2018, so that's like the current, but most of it is set at the boarding school. So you have Karen Mullins, Abby, I don't remember what her last name was, Zoe Spalding, Abby Madison, Cassidy Thomas. Those are like the main girls that we follow. And then Thomas Doherty. And each of their chapters have like a different font, as you can see. Like there's one. So even if you're reading, it kind of does distinguish, or if you're listening, I feel like they're also distinguished really well. Two left. Tell Us No Secrets by Sienna Sterling. And I'm giving the story 3 out of 5 stars. It almost had it at 4, but somewhere along like the middle to end, it just got kind of like slow, and I don't know. I don't know if I really liked the present timeline, the 2018 timeline. It didn't make that much sense. The last line though, it was a little bit ambiguous, but I kind of loved it. Anyway, it's mainly about these girls at the Stonebridge Story for Girls. It's a boarding school. They live there, but there's Cassidy, Abby, Karen, and Zoe. They all come from different parts of the US. They all have different reasons for being at the school. They have very different personalities, and you get to see those personalities play out like throughout the novel. And I do think they're very distinctive, and there's good character development. And the whole time you're trying to find out like who was murdered, why were they murdered, who murdered them, and all of that. But I wasn't even really caring that much about it. I was just here for all the drama of these teenage girls' lives. I wanted to update on The Fortunate Ones by Ed Tarkington. I started this one last night, and I'm hoping to read some on Jesse's reading sprints tonight. I made it to page 64. This is a little bit different because I usually don't read books from a male POV, and these are mainly male characters, at least so far, except for the main character's mom and aunt. But it's basically about this kid that is not privileged, you know, going to this prep school, and they match people up with like a big brother. And so he's matched up with this guy, and he's kind of like getting involved with these people, new students. It's like a new school, obviously. So meeting new people, going to new classes, trying to fit in, and all of that stuff. And it's seeing like the privileges of money and how that brings you like fortune outside of just like having money. It brings other privileges along with it. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, what it's introduced me to so far. And like I said, I'm hoping to read more tonight. Finished The Fortunate Ones by Ed Tarkington, and I'm unfortunately gonna give this book 2 out of 5 stars. It is a coming of age boys story about the haves and the have-nots, about the perks and privilege that money brings, about friendships and family and privilege. So it kind of starts off differently than the rest of the book. And I actually picked this up because I heard it was like an academia setting, but that's a very small part of the story, and I wouldn't even put it in that category. I would put it as a boys coming of age story. So in the beginning, you have these 2 army officers or whatever that are going to a family's house to let them know that their son has passed away in combat, was like killed in combat or whatever. And one of the soldiers looks and sees a like political person, a politician on the TV, and then we flash back to him meeting that person, being friends with that person, and kind of like their lives and how they've intersected, and stuff like that. So him and his mom, like his mom was a single mom, raised him by herself, and she ended up, like, she was like working multiple jobs. They didn't have a lot of money, but she ended up getting him into this private school on scholarship, and that's where he met the guy, Archie, and they became friends because they got paired up, like a big brother little brother situation. And then because of that friendship that started forming, he got involved with this like other family, and then his mom ended up working for that family for a while, and just kind of you get to see their coming of age moments, like up until adulthood. They get married, they have kids, and just kind of like the paths that their lives took. Like I said, there is a small academia part because like obviously he's going to this private school, and just some things that happen there, and like he's really into art class. He ends up becoming a painter and things like that, but their lives are very like different than I imagined, because I didn't think it was going to follow them for a long period of time, and it did. And it kind of never went back to like him being a soldier in that home delivering that news. It kind of went past that, and I don't know, it was very different than I was expecting. It also was a little bit political because obviously his friend became a politician, so there was that whole thing, especially towards the end of the book. But I just don't like politics in my books, and it wasn't really academia, and I don't really like boys coming of age stories because can't relate. But it was short. It was only 308 pages, so I was able to knock it out fairly quickly. But to wrap up the vlog, I finished 3 books. The first one I read, my favorite of the vlog, is What Happens After Midnight, and I rated it 3 stars, but it's probably more of a 3.5, but I don't think it's quite a 4. I really did like the game, riddles, scavenger hunt part of this story, and I do think I would pick up future books by this author. This is the second book that I read by this author. I read The Summer of Broken Rules, and now I've read this one. They've both been 3 stars, but they're fun while I read them, and I can get through them fairly quickly. And then I read one of you guys' recommendations, Tell Us No Secrets by Sienna Sterling, and I also rated this one 3 stars. This was really close to a 4 stars, but it just kind of had like a lull, and it kind of felt a little bit repetitive, but there was a murder that we were trying to figure out like what was going on. And then finally I finished with this one. So 2 3 stars, 1 2 stars, and that wraps up this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, there will be additional parts to this Dark Academia reading vlog mini series, so look forward to that. But I hope you guys are having a great day or night whenever you're watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye friends.